And so it came to me, and I began to see it very clearly. When you understand there's 6 sexes in the Talmud, and there's a 6-colored rainbow flag. That rainbow flag is, when you put a flag up, you remember the guys putting the American flag up in Iwo Jima, the big statue? Okay, that was a very big deal because that expressed the victory of the sovereignty of the United States over that island, right? So a flag expresses sovereignty. And this is what we see. This really comes out of the book of Numbers, right? Because Moshe is telling them, you guys need to put up banners for each of your tribes, and you need to have rods for each of your tribes that have your names scrawled on them. And then there's going to be 4 banners that are going to be in the 4 camps, right? The east camp, the south, the north, and the west. And those banners are going to be what? The lion, the man, the eagle, and the ox, right? Which conveniently are the 4 faces we find on the seraphim that John sees in heaven and that Isaiah sees in heaven, right? Same 4 faces, right? So the banner, and even Moshe was told to put a seraph on a banner. Put a seraph on a banner that people could look and see and be healed. And he put instead a nakash, a serpent, on a pole, instead of putting a seraph on a banner, right? And so anyway, the banner is very, very important in terms of showing sovereignty. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, there you go.
This is from one of your books. I believe it was the meaning was taken from the Basura from Cepher Publishing. So, and then I put that what I did is I married tribal associations with that from Gwen Shaw's End Time Handmaidens, her book on the tribes. And so this is how we could see it. I've always, the reason I did that is it clicked to me that these particular books were written. We've got the same 4 stories told 4 different ways, right? But why? Because we've got these different 4 standards.
Beautiful. Yeah,
right?
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and this is how essentially how I laid it out in the book Besarot. This still continues to be an opening page in there, talking about these are called the Hebrew analytics. And this Pardes, the Hebrews analytics, and Peshat, Remez, Darash, Sod. And so we have Peshat, the plain or simple or direct meaning. Now, when you look at the book of Mark, the Gospel of Mark, this is a very short text. It's the shortest of all the Gospels. And it gives a, if you will, it's the whitecaps of the waves that are the ministry of Mashiach that Mark is putting together. Mark has some absolutely brilliant things in it. For instance, one of the things I like to confront Christian pastors on. Well, I'm a New Testament pastor. Oh, are you? So you're an expert on the New Testament. You don't know anything about the Old Testament. I can't talk to you about what's in Isaiah or what's in Leviticus or any of that. But you're an expert on the New Testament, on Mark. Okay, well, Mark 8 has something really kind of strange to say, which is that Mashiach comes to the guys and he says, look, don't you recall we took 5 loaves and we fed 5,000 and you gathered 12 baskets? Don't you recall we took 7 loaves, we fed 4,000 and you gathered 7 baskets? What part of that don't you understand? And so I challenged these pastors, tell me, why did he say 5 loaves? Why were there 5,000 people? And why did they gather 12 baskets? Why didn't he just say we took some bread, fed 5,000, and they gathered many baskets full of food? Why didn't they say that? Why is it specific to those numbers? It's a question they need to answer, right? Because you can't avoid the fact that one of them is the Pentateuch, right? And the other is the 12 tribes, right? That there's enough to feed the 12 tribes, right?
Yeah.
And in the second instance,
2 fish, right? There's 2. Again, we go back to this 2-house doctrine, right?
Yep, there it is. Yep.
There it is.
Yeah. It can't be avoided, Shell. And then when you look at the seven loaves taken, this is the 7-fold doctrine of his whole creation. And this explains the 7 feasts. I mean, there it is, the 7
call it the gifts of the bridegroom, right? The 7 gifts of the bridegroom. It was really interesting. I've done a series of shows recently with Tammy Sorensen, who is an amazing musician who deals in healing frequencies of music in order to heal the body through sound therapy, right? And so I start doing a show with her. She brings up numbers, and I think it's 33. I've got to remember. It's the Naso portion. So I remember she's bringing up where all the tribes come and they bring the gifts for the temple. And this is where she's found all these frequencies, right? And put it all together. And I'm like, this is Naso. This is being lifted up. This is, of course, it's coming up higher. This is frequency. And I'm like, it just blew me away.
Yeah, well, and all of that stuff is accompanied through there, and music is a huge part. You know, music is a pure language. It's spoken all over the world by everyone.
Right.
You know, and it is a pure language, and it is the language of Yah. And to really get into music and to really understand music is really, you know, it's something that a person should do. I mean, a lot of people don't understand this as a believer, but as a believer, you are called to understand music. You're also called to understand the Mazarot, because revelation is nothing but signs in heaven.
Yeah.
And you're called to know those signs in heaven. I mean, you know, even even Revelation 1 is about a sign in heaven, right? And so there you go. Here we go. Constellation of the tribe of Judah. His feet are over the head of Hydra, the great serpent, about to descend upon it and crush it. And the three constellations, and the Hydra, the old serpent, destroyed. Created the cup of divine wrath poured upon him. Corvus, the bird of prey. Yeah. And so these things, you know, and again, a proper study of these constellations to know the 88 constellations, to know those constellations that are on the event horizon and how those event horizons are predictive, and to really be able, you know, when, you know, I was looking at a megalith in Ireland that and if you ever get a chance to go to Ireland, there are some things that are absolutely required that you do when you're there, which is that there's a set of megaliths that are incredible to see. And they're the best, some of the best in Europe, which is Newgrange, which is a UNESCO site. And then there's two mounds that are associated with Newgrange called Knowth and Douth. Newgrange, Knowth, and Douth, those are absolutely, you have to see those megaliths. And then, of course, the tomb of what they call the Tomb of Jeremiah, which is another megalithic structure. The Tomb of Jeremiah is one of the most persuasive megaliths I've ever seen, because it still has the hieroglyphs or the glyphs carved into the entrance wall.